Hi there, my name is Brendan McDonough, and today we're going to focus on some ear training and some intervals, what they look like on the guitar fretboard, what they sound like, and we're going to learn some mnemonics to help us memorize them. Ear training is probably the most important part of learning to be a musician. It's like working out at the gym or learning to run a marathon. You have to work the muscles, and you have to work your ear in order to get that. That means hearing intervals and being able to recognize what they are. Now, an interval is the space between two notes in music. If you imagined a ladder leaning against a house that had 12 steps, and you stepped on the first step, the difference between the first step and the second, or the first and the third, or the first and the seventh step, that's a gap called an interval. Each one of these musically has a name, and we're going to learn what those names are, what they look like on the fretboard, what they sound like, and mnemonics to help us memorize them. Our first interval is the minor second. Starting on the 4th fret, it's only going to go one half step higher to the 5th fret, and backwards, 5th to 4th. Now, a great memory mnemonic for this, for the ascending, is Jaws. And for backwards, the beginning of Monday, Monday. Minor second. Our next interval is the major second. That's the 4th to the 6th fret on the low E string. And that's Frere Jacques, or three blind mice, three blind. That's ascending and descending. Ascending, Frere Jacques, descending, three blind mice. That's the mnemonic to help you remember it. Major second. Next, we're going to discuss the minor third. Starting on the 4th fret of that low E string, we can either go up to the 7th fret, or we can skip to the next string on the 2nd fret. That's going up the lullaby, or Heard It Through the Grapevine. Go to sleep. And backwards, Hey Jude. Minor third. Next, we're going to talk about the major third. Starting on the 4th fret, we're going to go up to the 8th fret on the low E string. Or you can start on the 4th fret on the low E string and go up to the 3rd fret on the A string. Ascending, that mnemonic is It's a Small World. And descending, it's the Doorbell, or Beethoven's Fifth. Major third. Next is the perfect fourth. From the 4th fret of the low E string to the 4th fret of the A string. That's the Wedding March, ascending. And backwards, the beginning of I've Been Working on the Railroad. I've been working on the, is that interval backwards. Perfect fourth. Next is the tritone. The tritone starting on the 4th fret of the low E string and going to the 5th fret of the A string. That's a very harsh sounding interval. And it wasn't allowed to be used in religious recording music a long time ago because they thought it was the devil's interval. The Simpsons, that first interval is that. And backwards it's YYZ by Rush. The perfect fifth, starting on that 4th fret of the low E string, goes to the 6th fret of the A string, is the alphabet song, A, B, C, D, or Twinkle, Twinkle, and backwards it's Flintstones. Perfect fifth. The next interval is the minor sixth. Starting on the 4th fret of the E string, we're going to go to the 7th fret of the A string. Or we can go from the 4th fret of the E string to the 2nd fret of the D string. Ascending, it's like the 3rd and 4th notes of The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. On descending, it's like Three French Hens in the 12 Days of Christmas. Three French hens. Minor 6. Next is the major sixth, from the 4th fret of the low E string to the 8th fret of the A string. or from the 4th fret of the low E string to the 3rd fret of the D string. Ascending, that is the MBC logo, or the first 2 notes of it. In descending, it's the beginning of the chorus of Sweet Caroline. Major 6th. Next is the minor 7th, from the 4th fret of the low E string to the 4th fret of the D string. That's the intro first 2 notes of Star Trek or Somewhere in West Side Story, ascending. And descending, in White Christmas, at the end of it, when he says, "And may all your Christmases be white," that Christmases is the descending. Minor 7. The major 7, from the 4th fret of the low E string to the 5th fret of the D string. Ascending is Take on Me by Aha, the first 2 notes of the chorus. And descending, it's the end of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. It's the between have and yourself. Major 7. The octave, starting on the 4th fret of the low E string and going to the 6th fret of the D string. It's the same note, and the beginning of Somewhere Over the Rainbow is the classic octave. Octave. Now it's time to put in the hard work and spend some time memorizing what the patterns of the intervals look like on the fretboard, and more importantly, training your ear to hear them so that you can hear it and recognize that interval in a song. It'll make it that much easier to figure things out. It'll make it that much easier to play along with other people, and it's going to expand your musical horizons.